Welcome to the epic tale of the Roman Empire, where ambition was currency, power was everything, and the line between heroism and villainy was often blurred. It's a story that begins with a republic, a noble experiment in democracy, but quickly evolves into a cauldron of intrigue, betrayal, and bloodshed. This is the Rome of emperors, gladiators, and gods, where one man's rise to power could mean another's brutal downfall. At the heart of this empire lies a fascinating paradox, a civilization that birthed some of humanity's greatest achievements: law, architecture, governance, but also some of its darkest excesses. Let's journey through the most gripping stories of the Roman Empire, where the drama of human history unfolds on a grand scale. Our first stop is the rise of Julius Caesar, a man whose ambition would change Rome forever. Caesar was no ordinary man. He was a brilliant military strategist, a shrewd politician, and a master manipulator. He rose to power during a time of turmoil, when Rome's republic teetered on the brink of collapse. Caesar's greatest achievement was his conquest of Gaul, modern-day France, which expanded Rome's territories and filled its coffers with gold. But his success made him enemies, and his adoption of the title dictator for life sent shockwaves through the Senate. They saw him as a threat to their power, and so they plotted his downfall. The Ides of March, 44 BCE, is a date etched into history. It was the day Julius Caesar was stabbed to death by a group of senators, including his closest friend, Brutus. As he lay dying, he uttered the infamous words, "Et tu, Brute," and you, Brutus, a moment of betrayal that would define the fall of the Republic. But Caesar's death didn't bring peace. Instead, it plunged Rome into civil war. His adopted son, Octavian, would rise from the ashes to become Augustus, the first emperor of Rome. Augustus ruled with wisdom and moderation, bringing stability to the empire after decades of chaos. Yet the serpent of ambition wasn't far away. Augustus's reign marked the end of the Republic and the beginning of the empire, but the seeds of corruption were already sown. The next few centuries would see emperors who were as brutal as they were bizarre. Take Caligula, for instance. This emperor is often remembered for his madness and extravagance. He was known to have declared himself a living god, and his reign was marked by grotesque excesses. One of his most infamous acts was ordering his soldiers to collect seashells as spoils of war during a campaign in Britain, a macabre display of power. But Caligula's madness was more than just eccentricity. It was a symptom of the toxic environment of the imperial court. Power had become a curse, and those who wielded it often lost themselves to its corrupting influence. His eventual assassination was almost inevitable, as his own guards turned against him in a brutal coup. If Caligula was bad, Nero was worse. His reign is synonymous with tyranny and destruction. Nero was a man consumed by vanity and paranoia. He was a failed artist who longed for adoration, but his inability to govern led to widespread discontent. The Great Fire of Rome, which destroyed much of the city, is often blamed on Nero himself. According to legend, he fiddled while Rome burned, but the truth may be more complex. Nero used the disaster to consolidate his power, blaming the Christians for the fire and using it as an excuse to persecute them. Yet Nero's downfall was as dramatic as his rise. As the empire teetered on the brink of collapse, he fled Rome and took his own life, ending the Julio-Claudian dynasty. His final words, "What an artist dies in me," capture the delusional grandeur of a man who could never reconcile his ambition with reality. But not all Roman emperors were tyrants. Marcus Aurelius, for example, was a philosopher king who ruled with wisdom and compassion. His reign is often referred to as the Golden Age of the Roman Empire. He was a just ruler, loved by his people, and his writings on Stoicism remain influential to this day. Still, the empire was never far from turmoil. Its decline began with corruption, overextension, and internal conflicts. One of the most fascinating and tragic figures of this period is Commodus, the son of Marcus Aurelius. Commodus was the opposite of his father. He was vain, violent, and insane. Commodus's reign was a return to the darker days of Caligula and Nero. He became obsessed with gladiatorial combat, even participating in the games himself, which was seen as beneath an emperor. His megalomania reached new heights when he renamed Rome after himself, declaring it Colonia Commodiana. His eventual assassination was both dramatic and ironic. He was strangled by a wrestler after becoming paranoid about plots against his life. The once great empire was now a shadow of its former self, ruled by men who were more interested in pleasure than governance. The fall of the Roman Empire is a story of decline and decay, but also of resilience. Even as the empire crumbled, it left behind a legacy that shaped the modern world. The Romans gave us law, language, and architecture. They taught us the value of governance and the dangers of unchecked power. As the empire finally fell in 476 CE, the world entered a new era. But the stories of Rome remain as relevant today as they were 2 millennia ago. They remind us of the power of human ambition, the fragility of greatness, and the enduring lesson that absolute power corrupts absolutely. So the next time you walk past a Roman ruin, or read about the emperors who once ruled the world, remember, their stories are not just ancient history. They are a reflection of who we are and who we could become. Thanks for joining me on this journey into the epic stories of the Roman Empire. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more content just like this. And if you'd like to explore more Roman Empire stories, check out the links below. See you in the next one. Like, share, subscribe for more stories.